Hi, friends. This is Jackpal, and this is my second podcast. Uh, as I mentioned, that I will be bringing up guests and distinguished folks who will help us learn the inner shift journey and help us with the tools and their own personal experience, how they have implemented some of them with their own. So today we have Francesca. She is
Hello.
uh, a lecturer in a University of Tennessee, and I came across with her in one of our coaching community. So,
Yes.
Francesca, welcome to my podcast, which is
Thank you.
Inner Shift.
Thank you so much. I'm very glad to be here. It's an honor.
Thank you, Francesca. So, Francesca, let's start with you have done some work on how to keep the work-life balance, how to make sure that you are not burnout or enjoy your life while doing the work. So tell us more about how that part worked out for you.
Yes, I love the word burnout because burn makes me think about fire, and fire can be
Yeah.
looked at two ways. Can be looked at something warm and cozy and helpful to life, or something that destroys. So it's nice to keep the balance between the two meanings. I like to have my inner light shine and use that fire within to have the energies to do things. But when life gets a little too busy, we need to realize, okay, we don't want to get burned here from that beautiful light. What can we do to manage the balance? And I think it's very important to have a mentality of I cannot do everything. And there are things in life that have priority over others because of obvious reasons. It might be they're related to work. Work pays the bills. Bills allows me to have a place to stay, help my family. Absolutely, fundamentally important. There are things that are helpful to our health. And if we don't take care of ourselves health wise, we don't have the energies to keep doing the things that are important to pay bills and so on. So there is a certain connection of all, like a wheel of things that need to all work together. What I also like to include in that wheel is spirituality. At the core, I think we're all spirits trapped in a body, and we have to figure out how to let our spirit evolve and communicate with others and shine. So for me, having a balance between mind, body, and soul, it's really important. If there are things that affect negatively one of them, I have to pause and value. Is this really vital for me to keep dealing with, or can I eliminate it? Can I reduce that sense of stress that this situation or this person or this job is giving me? And so that kind of gives me a little bit of a pause. I need to pause a minute and evaluate. I think it's important to take a moment to step back and observe the situation. As soon as you have symptoms of, I'm getting stressed, I'm getting tired, I don't have any more energies, why? So connect with yourself and take a minute, breathe, smile. That's my motto, breathe, smile first. Take a moment to just look within and figure out, why am I so stressed? What is causing the stress? And go from there.
Yeah, no, you said it so right. I don't think anybody could have put it better than what you have. So, yeah, I think we all come across those situations, and everybody has to deal with them in their own way. And one of the things I believe what we all have really taken some help from is our faith, our spirituality. I
Yes.
have been a person who found who found it incredibly helpful. Um, it kind of alleviates uh, all your tension. It kind of puts you
Mhm.
in perspective. So how does faith has really helped you in this journey?
Well, it has been a tremendous source of strength, but it has not always been the case. Um, growing up, I was raised Catholic, and the view of religion was more like spirituality and religion were one thing. And you would just go to church on Sunday and behave during the week. um, and that's kind of limitative. It's not just that, it's much more than that. It's so much more. It's a relationship that you have with the divine or with, the spirit. And I think that when I moved from Italy to the States, I realized that God is everywhere. It's
Yes,
not just in my little parish community in my hometown in Florence. Is everywhere because fundamentally and first and foremost is within me.
yes,
And so connecting with within really radiated to around me. And I started realizing, wow, the whole creation is connected. And all human beings should be connecting and
yes,
should be relating to one another. And so, if you are a person of faith, your relationship with the divine is extremely important because it is a relationship with yourself, reflecting on the divine and vice versa. We are created, after his image, after all. There is a reason for that. And
yes,
so, when I realized that I had the richness within, I also realized, well, maybe I can make it after all in this other country, you know.
yes,
And I didn't know anybody, just the person that was a friend of mine, and I really never met this person before, and she happened to be my landlady, and I stayed at her apartment in New York. The whole world kind of opened up to me, and I felt the presence of the divine in every step. And since then, it has kind of been my support, my lifeline. Yeah.
yes. So I think one of the things that helps all of us to set boundaries for ourselves, and like you said, we have to see those boundaries, we have to honor those boundaries, and every time we are crossing those boundaries, we should pause. And because, first of all, we have to take care of ourselves. If we don't take
Yes.
care of ourselves, then we really cannot do a good job. So, how's your coaching mentality really teaching that to the folks? Like, hey, you really it starts with you, not with anybody else. So
Yes.
how do you convey that message to anybody coming to you so you can help them also in their life?
It's interesting you asked that because I'm also a teacher, and I noticed that in teaching sessions, when we have group classes, I teach at university level, we have classes, large classes, medium classes, but I do offer office hours when the students come one on one and talk to me. And I did that in person. I do now online. I've been teaching online since COVID right now. But when I have a communication with a student, I immediately ask, how are you? Not how are you doing with the language that I'm teaching you? Do you have questions on the material? Is really just person to person. How are you? How are you doing? How is life? And that creates a kind of a shock for a moment, like, oh, okay, you're acknowledging me as a person. And
Yeah.
then we have a beautiful conversation. And at the end, we both realized there was more than just a question on the grammar or a question on the language or a question on the study process, learning process of a foreign language. So in the coaching session, my attitude is the same, is go to the person to person. And one question that I like to ask in the coaching sessions and sometimes in a one-on-one with a student is, what is something in the back of your mind that is there and you need to put it on the table and look at it, because that distantiates you from the whatever is feeling is associated to that thing. You keep thinking, you keep going back to it. There is something that makes you go back there. It could be positive, it could be negative, but let's look at it. And
Yes.
so there is that observation phase that really creates you, the person, the client, the student, the person in front of me, gives you the ability to look within, but outside. You put it on the table, visualizing that it's something that you can control.
Yes.
And
Yes.
whether it's a true statement or not, because again, we're going back to the spirituality, are we really in control? Well, yes and no. We may not be in control of our future, the day we're born, the day we die, but in between, we have the wonderful thing called free will, which allow us to have a little bit of control over our decisions, right? So we can decide, how am I going to look at this situation? How is it affecting me? Do I need to create boundaries with other people who are right now hurting me? Not because voluntarily or whatever the situation, but I feel hurt by this person, this situation. So look at it from a distance a minute and analyze that and value. Do I want to keep that? Do I want to change that? If I do want to change it, what are the things that I could do to make it a better scenario? What could be the worst case scenario? What could be the best case scenario? And also, one thing that triggers sometimes is those labels, or um, people call them limiting beliefs or false beliefs,
Yeah,
things that you have heard growing up that you think defines you. They define you, that you think you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or you will never have enough money, or whatever the case may be. So when
yeah,
you look at a situation, that inner voice might come in the way. But when you put it on the table, you're trying to distanciate from the voice too. And
yes.
so that helps. That
Yeah.
helps.
No, I think you said it so well.
Thank you.
There's one thing this is just, I would say, my own experience, how I am taking life or how I am looking at the life. What I have felt is that for the lack of word, the burnout, the boredom, the folks who really who are at a breaking point, or for that matter, stress, which is like
Yes.
our daily phenomenon. It happens when you try to do something which you don't want to do. So it's the work by itself doesn't really stress you out. The work that you don't want to do or how you don't want to do, that stresses you out. So what do you say about, in order to have a work-life balance, why we include, more work that we like versus,
Absolutely.
the things that we have to do. So this optimum balance is very, very important. So what do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. I agree that doing what you love obviously makes you happier. I also discovered recently in one of the uh, courses that we actually have offered in the community of coaches that where we met, which we can mention, Transformation Academy. But the one of the courses, the instructor was mentioning a shift of perspective. Like if you look at what you have to do as something that you want to do. And I took it a step further thinking, okay, let's take work. Okay, I have a job and I may not like it. It's a 9 to 5. I have every day the same drill and I get to the weekend, I'm exhausted. Okay, let's face that scenario. If you don't go to work, if you don't do your job well, what are the consequences? You could get
Yeah,
fired.
yeah,
You then have no money to pay your bills. And the consequences after that may be really, really bad.
yeah,
So in reality, you want to do that job
yeah,
because you don't want the alternative of not doing it well.
yes.
So that could be something that you can apply when you cannot find another job immediately, because the truth is no job is eternal, just like
And
people.
you are absolutely right. I think it's not that anybody don't want to do their job. I think where the problem comes is how they're doing it. So, because as all human beings, all of us, we want to enjoy what we do. We want to tap into our creativity, and we want to feel results out of it. One of the things that we don't like is repetitive work. It's like, because from inside you're saying, hey, what is the value I'm adding here? But then on the outside, you're saying, I have to do it because it gets my paycheck. And that is where you
Mm.
start getting into this rut, or whatever we can call it. Like, hey, I'm doing my job, not enjoying it, but I have to do it. So work has to be there. I mean, work is all the purpose that what we have in our life, mostly revolves around the work. but it's just how we do it. We can just make it more interesting, and that will change our life, our happiness, all of it.
Absolutely. It's how we look at things, how we react at things that changes everything for us. So we can have a positive attitude. We can even negative attitude. The negative, of course, feeds negative. The positive feeds positive. So it's really up to us to make one of those action of free will and say, I decide, I choose to take a positive approach. And I can give you a personal experience example. So you mentioned, yes, I'm a lecturer at the University of Tennessee, and I have been since 2011 or so. And I started part-time there for 6 years. They didn't need a full-time at the moment. They just needed a part-time. And we had just moved from DC to Tennessee. And I was like, well, is this fulfilling? Is it enough? You know, so I also worked in a bookstore and I did multiple things. And I was also raising a child. But in starting at the university level, because I had taught Italian before foreign language academies or in Lingua School of Languages in Arlington, D.C., in Washington, near Washington. I had done it growing up, but there was something about the academia, the university. I felt like, oh my gosh, do I even belong here? I have two masters. I don't have a PhD. Do I belong? But as soon as I entered my first class in the classroom, I looked at my students and I felt immediate peace. It was just such a calmness to it and joy because the age of university, the undergrad students, is a beautiful age of figuring out, oh my goodness, I'm on my own. Most of them are away miles from home or just away from home, or they choose to be in the same town, but they choose to stay on campus. There is a detachment from family. So they are experiencing changes. I was experiencing changes. And immediately I said a prayer. And then I said, inside my heart, I prayed. I said, okay, Divine Holy Spirit, come with me. We're going to have
Yeah.
fun. And I approached it with a smile. And that's when I realized the smiling, well, I had already realized it in my bookstore experience. The smiling is absolutely a positive thing. But I started with a smile and we had fun. And the other thing about that is that I learned to realize that nobody's perfect, starting from myself.
Yes.
But I can do my best when I am at my best. And how am I at my best? When I have a positive approach. And I
Yeah.
notice the smiling is just really scientifically, physically proved that when you smile, your whole body relaxes. Your brain thinks, oh my goodness, something positive is about to happen. And I mentioned this in my introductory episode of the podcast also because, and I also mentioned there, the be creative is extremely important. So I put creativity into teaching. I try to find ways for the students to learn Italian a little more creatively. We actually did theater together. We had a talent show and my students for 2 years in a row, they got third and first place. And the joy of seeing them exploring ways to use their brains they didn't think they could, and to act in a foreign language. I mean, they were brilliant. I'm so proud of them to this day. And so be creative at your work. It might not be as malleable, as flexible as teaching a language where your creativity is, certainly a tool. But even in a 9 to 5 tech job or government related job or business or mechanical job or, being a mechanic, being a teacher in the K through 12, whatever your job is, even cleaning houses. I mean, there is dignity in any single job. And so if you do with a smile, you might feel a little creative sometimes. Maybe you start singing while you swipe the bathroom. I don't know, something that can really bring you joy. And that's the key to me, is
Yeah.
finding joy in what you do. So my personal experience is, again, I started doing that, but the shift within was what caused it. Like I can do this thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, or I can do this thinking, I'm gonna do my best and go with it. You know.
Exactly. So like I think somebody said very nicely that if you make your work your job, then you will not work another day. So it's the mindset that all the titles, all the expectations definitely put a lot of pressure. But the moment I would say the rubber hit the road, or when you actually start doing your work, work gives you fulfillment. But what we do is we add a lot of these overheads to the work, is that we all the expectations, all the titles, how you should do this, how you should
Mhm.
not do this, how you would be performed, then you really don't enjoy the actual doing of it. But like you said, Francesca, it's the mindset shift. If we really focus on what we are doing, then that takes over, and that the accomplishments that you feel there, that will stay with you. That is what gives you the fuel. You, like you said, if you're doing a house cleaning, you can just be feel miserable about it. Why am I doing it? Or you just, do it with the little bit singing or a little bit dancing or whatever, and then it'll make your day. So
Yeah.
so so what else do you suggest with to your students or the folks that come to you about the mindset shift, that like, hey, if this is what it is, that at the core of it, and anything everything else is fluff. So just tune out the noise, just enjoy the core of the work. So how do you
Yes.
communicate that message?
Yes, thank you for asking. I'm thinking about two ways, the spiritual way and the non-spiritual way.
Yeah.
The spiritual way, it's easy. You offer this moment to the presence of the divine with you, and you welcome him in it, whether it's something that you want to do, have to do, can do. um, it gives it a different perspective, a different dimension. It's like you are connected to the divine, so you are serving him and serving others. Your next expression of love to do your housework. If you are with a family member sharing the same house, you're helping one another, whether it's the laundry, doing the dishes, or minimal thing. For a student, being able to keep your dorm tight, so that the roommate doesn't have to trip on your things. It's thinking about the other and what you do as an expression of love. And God is love. So that's the spiritual part. The other way to look at it, not spiritually, is self fulfillment and self respect. So if I do something poorly, am I really showing myself at my best, that enough that I would look at it as if I were not myself, or look at it as a different person and say, oh my gosh, that person is not doing a good job? Would that make you feel happy about that, fulfilled about that? Or would you feel like, well, that's not very respectful toward the person who's actually paying you for that job, or toward even yourself? Because when you go in front of the mirror and you brush your teeth and you're looking at, I did such a poor job today. I'm not
Yeah.
happy with myself. I'm not happy with myself. So if you have a self-awareness, self-respect, you want to be at your best and do your best in anything you do. So I think that self-dignity, if you want respect, you have to give respect, but start giving it to yourself first. Acknowledge your wonderful identity, and be, developing to your full potential. I believe this as a teacher, as a human being, as a coach. We are called to evolve constantly. And if we stay stationary in the satisfactory content, in quotes, level, like I did, what I did just to pass by in grades wise, D plus, C minus, or do you want to go up to the mountains, into the sky to get to the top of the mountain and do the best you can, enjoy the view from up there?
Yeah.
So it's really, how you want to look at it, because any action has consequences. And even the most minimal one that you might think is insignificant, it has effects on others. And that's the beauty for me about fulfillment is, am I having a good impact on myself and others? That's the question I ask myself when I feel like, is this job fulfilling to me? And that's why I'm not quitting teaching. I am adding coaching because I want to amplify my location of spreading the inner light and being able to help others. And so
Yeah, I mean, you
that's it.
said it so well. I don't think anybody could have put it in any better words.
Well, thank you, Jackpot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely all makes sense to me. But one of the things is we see all around us so much stress, right?
Yes.
Folks, if everything is so simple, Francesca, like you mentioned, why are people so much stressed out? I mean, stress, anxiety, disconnection, burnout, even depressions. Like, if the life is, like you mentioned, if it is so easy, why do people not take it that easy, not take it that simply? What
Because
do you think? Yeah,
it's not easy. It's not easy. And I'm here with you today on a 13th month. In 13 months, the past 13 months, my family and I have lost friends and family members to a total count of 13. They didn't happen once a month. In a month, we had two people dying. The next month, two. The next month, three. It's in a span of 13 months, we had so many losses. In addition to that, my son went to college. So empty nest, you know,
yeah,
changes
yeah.
in life. I have been pondering about, do I want to change career? Do I want to have two careers? Do I want to call them jobs? Do I want to call them service? And so I have been under a lot of midlife crisis, if you will, in the last year. We had some medical things we had to do. I had a couple of surgeries last fall. My husband had one in the spring. My son had a car accident just in February. It's anxieties, depression, stress. Yes, they're part of it, but there is the BUT. I
Exactly.
think that it goes back to your connection to the divine. At least for me, that has been a source of strength. But if you're not a spiritual person, it goes back to your own sense of self, because you have the choice to react stressfully and to react negatively. And I understand, as I just pointed out, I didn't go through just one thing. We have had a tough year. So what happened? What helped really? Physical movement. If you can run, walk, dance, ride a bike, do something that connects you to movement. And even better if you do it outside, connect with nature. It just is a change of flow of oxygen and adrenaline, and you reset your body. And I was talking in one of the conversations I had from my podcast with Jessica Covington. She is a coach of specialized in ADHD clients. Well, the beauty of that is, she said, it's like if you start moving, your whole body resets, and it
Yeah.
really helps you take a different perspective. So workout, absolutely, or any form of movement helps. If you have a pet, enjoy the time with a pet. Find the other key is to curb time to do something that brings you joy, that kind of regenerates you.
Yes, that is very, very important. Yes.
Yeah,
No, I think your insights are super valuable. I mean, I think the way you summarized it, the way you put everything together, it kind of summarize a holistic living. And that is the key right now. Life is life. Life is going to come with anything
yes,
against you, but how do you react to it? And what tools do you have at your disposal? I mean, like I said, I believe in faith. I'm a big believer of that, but everybody can have their own choice. And the way they choose to respond, they can live a happy life or a life in a super stress. So,
absolutely, absolutely. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just thought of something else that happened this year that helped me, was to transform the energies. So from negative to productive. You can have self-destructive energies, going through all the list of things that are negative, that went down, that makes you stressed and weary and anxious. Or you can transform that energies into productive energies. And what I mean by that is exactly why I'm here with the sign behind me. I was going through so much that I happened to receive an email from Transformation Academy about a course on future self. And it was like January, and like, I don't know, what future self? My future is in the hands of the Lord. I don't know. But something told me to try. And I
yes,
took that class. And it changed my perspective on things, because I then realized, okay, then I'm using the energies. The first class I went to was a live session. I said nothing. I was with the blue, dark face. I speak about smiling. Well, you should have seen me that day. I was a little frowny. But then something was said about progress versus perfection. And I thought, "Huh, that makes sense. maybe I'm supposed to progress. I'm supposed to do something with this. So I went with the flow. I met with a group of classmates of the course. We call them pod. And we met once a week to prepare the assignments and study together and brainstorm. And beautifully, we blended so well. I drew so much energies from them that it really counteracted my negative self-talk and self-destructive behaviors. And I was not exercising, I was eating junk. It was just a bad phase. In the span of 2 months, I did the shift. I felt something within that said, okay, you can go on the destructive road. People are dying. Sure, you want to be next? Or, know, or you can take care of yourself and help others by doing something that is productive and can produce more. It's like putting a seed in the ground, water it, see what happens. And so that was so energizing to just have the decision making moment of saying, I may not be a coach at the end of this semester, but I might interview coaches. I might learn about coaching more. I might start having clients and keep my university job and do both and help my fellow humankind the way I can. And so
Exactly.
that gave me energies inside. It's like, that's positive.
Yeah, exactly. I think, Francesca, like I said, we should not be, we should not get caught with titles, with, expectations and whatnot. I think we have to go with what really is um, feeling good to us, what really we think that we really are going to enjoy, and it will keep the doors coming to you. They will be opening. The things will just happen. I think it's just a mindset that we have to really keep in check, and everything will fall in place. So,
Yes.
any last concluding, I think you have given some nuggets. I think folks will really be benefiting from that.
Well,
Any
thank you. I hope
last
so.
advices you want to give so we can, for the folks, just to make their life a little bit more easy, happy, be more productive, but at the same time, enjoy their life.
Yes. And one of the things is don't be too hard on yourself in two ways, both physically and mentally. So if you judge yourself, you're being hard on yourself. If you're working yourself and overworking yourself without feeding moments of nourishment, you're overworking yourself, right? So you're not good to yourself. So be good to yourself. Keep doing things that bring you joy and things that you have to do, change them into I want to do them because the outcome probably you wouldn't want. So that's for sure something to keep in mind. And be open, be open. I was just thinking if you are on the couch all day, whether you're working online, you're working, you're still paying bills, but you're there on a chair all day, sedentary doesn't cause movement, but movement causes growth. So you can grow mentally, taking all the courses online and teaching and working like I was doing at some point, or you can also say, well, I also want to go out, meet people, be with people, connect with others, whether it's on a screen of a Zoom call, whether it's in person at the grocery store, be a connector, a person who connects with others, bringing some kind of acknowledgement of being a human being and bring that smile, that joy to others, and it will reflect on you, and then you will have the energies to face life. So I don't know if that helps, but I find it soothing for me, but hopefully it helps you.
Now, I think I learned a lot personally. I
Well,
think
thank you.
the way you put the things, and I think we have to continue to make this progress. We will definitely, be doing more sessions on specific topics, but I am really honored to have you here, Francesca, with all your insights. And
Thank you,
we will,
Jack Pally. It was an honor for me to be here. I'm glad you invited me.
yeah.